Welcome to another episode of CEX Talks, where we explore the intersection of technology and human experience in the customer journey. I'm your host, Abhinandan Jain, and today we are diving deep into the transformative trends shaping customer experience and communication strategies in 2025. I'm thrilled to welcome Amandeep Singh, Principal Analyst and Associate Director at Quadrant Knowledge Solutions, who brings exceptional experience in communication and collaboration, customer experience, and AI technologies. Amandeep advises industry leaders on strategic implementation of conversational AI, CCaaS, UCaaS, CPaaS, and cutting-edge customer experience solutions. He has also developed pivotal frameworks for generative AI adoption, including the Digital AI Leap framework and the Enterprise AI Maturity Model. Welcome to the show, Amandeep.
Thank you so much, Abhi, and I'm really glad to be here, and thank you for such a great intro. So uh, talking about myself, what I do. So basically, instead of being I'm an analyst, core analyst at heart, and I try to track multiple markets. You just mentioned about CCaaS, CPaaS, UCaaS, all related to something. But the agenda here is to give some insights about communication and collaboration domain at once, right? So at the heart, if you talk about where I come from, so being done engineering, and then doing a graduation from MBA, and diving into deep into the research from a very young age. I've tried to track these communication markets because I was very fond upon how this contact center, how they understand where I'm looking, how I can get such personalized ads, and that intrigued me to a lot of deep research and talking to various vendors. I think QKS basically the main vision that I work for in QKS is, I wanted to help technology users to adopt technologies and also help technology vendors to innovate faster so that I can actually bridge the gap between innovation and adoption between them. So yeah, that's about me.
No, Amandeep, we're very glad to have you here. I know you and I have been in touch for a while, and I can tell our audience, you will not find a more informed person in this space, than Amandeep. And he's one of my guides, who I go to find out what's going on in the industry. So today we'll explore the hyper-personalization revolution, right? The integration of AI in customer communication, the evolution of omnichannel experiences, and how the frameworks can help organizations navigate these complex technology shifts. Because in the last 18 months, the speed and the quantum of the technological shift, has just multifold increased. Okay. So with that, Amandeep, one of the dominating trends for 2025, right now appears to be hyper personalization. It's always been there. Okay. It's just that, with the whole, Gen AI, it has just become a lot more, front end, and with a lot more focus. And according to McKinsey, right, 71% of the consumers today expect personalized experiences, and 76% are frustrated with the lack of personalization. Because 71% wants it, 76% are frustrated. So, how do you define the shift from standard personalization to what's now being called hyper personalization?
Abhi, I think that's a great question, first of all. And, talking about hyper personalization, you exactly rightly mentioned, if you ask me about a quote, I think hyper personalization is a concept that can never be achieved. Now, we are talking about hyper personalization from almost a decade, like we have been talking about clouds. But if you understand, once the company thinks that, yeah, we have tried to perfectly achieve hyper personalization, and damn, there's a point the customer needs have already evolved, right? And that's the perfect fit. We always keep chasing personalization. So if I talk about in detail about personalization and hyper personalization, if you think how we started and the complete evolution and how it is revolution, how it is how Gen AI is actually impacting the things. If you see, firstly we had very basic, targeted based segments, right, where we just used to do personalization based on broader segments, like for example demographics, locations, geography, age, that. But that was only basic segmentation. Then we moved a step forward where we went to personalization, right? Where we integrated their behavior, purchase behavior, order history. We tried to gather such type of information, and then we tried to personalize them. And the third stage that we are talking about, hyper personalization, we are including real-time adaptation of what the users really want. We are predicting that and trying to communicate in the preferred channel. The omni-channel consistency that we are maintaining is it's actually giving out to the personalization. And if you imagine the base of this, the key change that has been changed is nothing but the data that we are collecting. When it was segmented, the data was too generic. But when it came to personalization, we started to gather more data, making more sense of the data that we collected. But now, every data point that you're collecting, right, from the watches that you're wearing, from assets you're using, from browsing, from different touch points that you're trying to interact with any brand, all those data is collected actually makes sense with the help of Gen AI. The contextual awareness has been increased about data, the website you're clicking, the products you're viewing, the alternative products that you're viewing, and that based recommendations you come. Most of the times earlier we used to talk about multiple things around our phones, but have you ever saw anything that is coming to your Instagram or YouTube feed? Nothing. But now, whenever you just talk about something and you talk about the shoe and you suddenly see, hey, this is buying, and not that only thing, it's adapting. For example, multiple times you reject Air Max seed from Nike's thing that is coming to your Instagram, and you are researching more about Jordans, your Jordan fans. You'll see that this will get adaptive, and you'll see Jordan seed now in the same company that they have adopted the more data that you're creating. And I think that's the way I think hyper personalizing has changed multiple things. So if you
But
think
then I would
yeah.
say it's interesting you raised the whole point about phones are listening. Where is that boundary, between too much personalization, privacy, while 71% of the consumers want hyper personalization? Okay.
Yeah.
I think 70% of the people do not want the privacy invaded. They do not want the data to be shared. So how do you address that? Is that the reason why the adoption of this is so low?
You have actually pinpointed one of the best asked questions that I can say that. So the reason is that personalization, but how much personalized? So end users don't mind if the personalization is actually predicting their needs and giving them a sophisticated answers to their queries. The frustration comes like when they're trying to explain something and the brand is not able to understand. That's where it concerns. I'm looking for example, Jordans, and I'm looking for a specific size, a specific thing, specific color brand. But if you think the data things, if you're talking about, we just talk about so many things that smartphones are listening, our edge devices are listening. Actually the key thing, there's actually a platform, social listening platform is there, which is actually takes care of all these features. There's a very stringent line. If you see by in US, there is SOC2, a very strict customer guidelines of what sensitive customer data is being used. So data are mostly annotated and are sensitive, but what brands do, they create, similar type of data patterns from multiple sources that they're creating, and then they try to become more personalized. So I think there is a lot of privacy laws that actually guard these things, that it cannot be used against you. But whatever you can do, personally, whenever you are installing a company's app, you have been given a pop-up. So you are actually allowing them, yes, please listen to me, give me personalized things. And if you're using an iOS device, there is a section on settings where you turn off and turn on personalized recommendation on and off, right? In Android, there is also again a thing system. So there is, but the thing is, why users are frustrated, you ask, because we are forced to do that. Personalization is not a choice that a user is demanding. They are forced upon you. You have to take personalization. You
So
have
it's
to
about
give the
education.
permissions.
It's about education. See, if the
Exactly.
end user is more educated and aware of the laws and what data is being collected, how it is being used, they will be a lot more open
Mhm.
to say yes, you can use it or not, because then you know they know that it's not about someone creeping in on their privacy, but a conscious choice which them and the brand together have made to do.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. Just and one example, if we just consider about WhatsApp or Instagram messaging, they have very stringent policies, law that all the things that have been there will be there are encrypted, right? So it's not with them also. So there are multiple security, and this things has been marketed well to the customer, so people feel safe about it. And by all these factors you just mentioned about education, I think right education comes when when they start facing the personalization, right? When they start facing it, okay, because I am sharing these data, I'm able to get this. It's a trade-off what you're getting in what you're giving. So that's also there.
And in which brands, based on your research, which brands do you think are leading the way in hyper personalization today? And what are the key differentiators you have observed in their approach, versus organizations that are still catching up?
Okay. So I'll give you two perspectives here. So, if I talk about brands, that see, one will be there are the brands who are consuming these and offering to their end customers, and one will be the core vendors who are actually offering this. First, let's talk about the brands on the end user side. So, for example, I think one of the key things I've seen Nike, I taking a lot of initiatives in their personalized. One of my favorite brands that I've been working with is Starbucks. Oh my God, they are doing so much good into their. They have actually integrated their digital and physical experiences and combined in a unified intelligence things that if you just for example you just go and order a coffee and in a certain season, a certain weather where it's raining heavily, suddenly you get the same experience on on your app. Hey, this is the coffee that you should go for, you know. And when you go in a store, again you'll get an different types of experience that, but it's seamless. It's not differentiated. So that's one of the things. So if you talk about the brands that are leading in terms of retails, food delivery, I think Starbucks is doing great. I think Nike is doing great. One more. If I think again from a vendor side of view, that is actually going beyond in B2B. This I think Salesforce Marketing Cloud. I know the entire system that has been doing great. If you talk about the where actually communication flows, I think Nice is doing great with their the AI roadmap what it's doing. And even Genesis has a very strong roadmap. And if you talk about more into the CX management things, I think Qualtrics is there, which is actually doing a lot of great stuff. Now, when I talk about the great stuff, it's not only about creating these technologies. It's where they're bringing these technologies out to the consumers. It's not that complex to adopt these technologies. It's not that, okay, so I have, for example, I'm Nike brand, now I have an entire ecosystem that I've been running. So I need to build an entire things to get, a nice context center system into my things, or Qualtrics CX management service. It's so plug and play, and it's so, built well into their ecosystem that you just need to add it, and it will start seamlessly flowing on your data. And that's easy it is to incorporate everything. So earlier integration still is also a big challenge for many customers if I talk about, but still there is a lot of things that have been coming up. And if you talk about that industries or customers where you think the flow is very limited or low, firstly in BFSI, healthcare, insurance sector, because of the stringent policy laws, so they don't trust into much of AI. But there's where you'll find very key use cases and a lot of investments being made in AI. They're not saying no to AI or AI-led CX, but they are trying to process it with lots of stringent policies. Though if anything goes wrong, it's a big steps over there. Then you'll see very minimalistic things into the manufacturing sector. Again, because I think whatever technology changes happen and it comes last and the manufacturing side. So all these is the gist that I wanted to give.
No, that's great. So what you're saying is technology, and then that brings us to our next question. The entire industry is moving to what hyper personalization, or what we are calling the segment of one approach. And with the whole Gen AI LLM frameworks, today the prediction is that almost 80% of the customer service organizations, will enhance the agent productivity or improve customer satisfaction using that. And your experience, spans across all of these technologies. So a couple of things, a couple of questions, I'll throw at you. Like, how are the LLM and RAG models, which you specialize in, transforming the ability to deliver these, right? Second, how are you seeing, from a long-term perspective, then these, reshaping the customer service operations, in 2025 and beyond?
Yeah. Again, a great question, Avi. So, I have always been telling to my customers to be patient with all the AI stuff. Like it's very exciting, and that doesn't mean we should not go and work around it. But I think the iPhone of the era is still yet to come, right? So we'll explore. And if you just let me give you the gist that how these things actually work, and then what are the actual challenges that I've been working around with people in LLM and the RAGs. So if you see LLMs, the main USP is that it's based upon very big, large language models of text-based addition into the database. Now, Do you mean that it gives a conversational interface to many things? You use GPT, Gemini, many things. What is there? There is a conversation interface, right? So do you think there was no conversation interface before, before the LLM era? Obviously, there was there. We had vendors, Amelia, Co.ai, Avamo, giving a lot of things. But if you understand, the evolution that happened in that spaces was very generic towards rule-based systems, right? If you use any of the food apps or mostly retail shopping apps, all the chatbots are very rule based. It's not conversational, right? But now it suddenly, in that era, it moved towards something as the USP was intent modeling. If you understand the NLT technology, NLP, that is processing, then understanding, and then generation. All the USP was in understanding. So if you see intent, understanding, and entity extraction. For example, I want to go to the bank. You know, it could be actual bank or it could be river bank. So what is your intent to go there? So all the uniqueness was there into intent modeling. Suddenly, when the Gen AI era came into with all the LLM stuffs, we understood that hey, the contextual understanding was not to be treated as intent models. We started to the transfer model gave us upper hand to understand and remember all the context that we're talking around. Suddenly, the shift became into the more conversational systems. Hey, it's just talking like to we talk to a person. But again, the problem arise was a lot of hallucinations because it was the USP was it was trained a large amount of text data hallucinations. To reduce that, we came up with a model of RAG, that is retrieval augmented generation. Now, what problems it used to face is around if, for example, there are I have seen companies facing on the thresholds of two things: highest precision of recall or highest recall. For example, you have a large database and you recall, you say that I'm gonna be there's the data and you fetch the question. I wanted some information on encyclopedia of dinosaurs. And what is it? Whether do you want a dinosaur of, for example, T-Rex, or you want all the dinosaurs? So the what it will retrieve, it was a trade-off between, if it is precision, it will give you only the data of T-Rex, right? But it will miss all the important elements of other things that have been asked. But if you think right recall, if you only talk about dinosaurs, it will give you all the information about dinosaur, which will be overwhelming for you. In both the cases, there is a drawback. So company for in customer support, if you talk about morely, the company saying if a customer is actually answering, push the query, it giving it some too much of information is also not good because he'll be overwhelmed, and giving him the exact information will lose upon additional use cases or preferred things, adjacent things that he might look upon. So I think there's a proper threshold that people are trying to control this with fine tuning, with domain specific LLMs. You'll see, and there is something called as small language models. After working around large language models, and when it was into OpenAI, GPT, every user, millions of users used it. But when you came into the company, companies are like, we don't want such computational cost. We don't want to own this cost because LLMs. So they just left the LLM there. They built something upon that, and they offer you a thing called bring your own LLMs, right? That is also not, because LLM also has a huge power of hallucinations. Then they try to give domain specific LLMs, which is more SLMs, small language models. And there also, they have a very curated base of knowledge bases where what their industry specific data has been trained. And then they use RAG. So you imagine it's not only RAG, it's actually the LLM, again, customized to a very specific domain specific LLM. Then you have RAG secondary government along with the knowledge management with the guardrails. So that's how it is actually impacting the businesses. It's more intuitive. It gives you more level of control over your data. So this is the impact that I wanted to talk about LLM and grads about it.
You've suddenly seen a huge amount of shift, in terms of innovation happening on the voice channel. Correct?
Exactly.
Voice is again, emerging as the top CX trend. It has always been. Okay, but it continues to dominate that. So, as you're looking at all of these LLM models, SLM, and then RAG models, what applications have you seen, especially in the voice space, which have excited you, which you're like, yes, oh, this is very exciting, and the potential it opens up. So, anything, in your recent, as you evaluated different things?
So if you see about voice is there from multiple years, right? You have IVRs, you have many systems, but if you imagine, those are the monotonous things that we have. We also have humans as voice. We cannot forget them as well. But the things you see here, most of the things that are fascinating, it's entirely self-service driven, intelligent virtual agents or digital employees or digital agents. Call any multiple names that you want. That is what I think, bringing and surprising, a lot of things, because for example, any voice interactions that you have, ordinary people has to have IVR system for very FAQ types of queries, and then they have agents that could route more complex queries. But now, what voice has been doing upon that, there is a module into the entire CEX landscape we call as conversational intelligence or speech analytics, if you call that. That has also significantly grown in such a way that it's actually evolving all the conversational intelligence, whether it's been between agents and yes, what agent is talking with supervisors, all the conversations that it's getting it into intelligence and then training the model itself. So more data is being created. If the entire series that we're going to talk about, Abhi, let me tell you, the key element will be always data. So the more better data you train to your voice, the more synergies that, for example, we are talking now. I have this 40 or 60 minutes of recording of us. So I can give Avatar Abhi's voice and I can give Avatar Abhi's voice, Amandeep's voice. But what he will tell be based upon what data I've been feeding and been training upon, right? So that's how you actually evaluate. So the most important, the autonomous things, the voice is going evolving. And the most fascinating thing that is going to see, you're going to see in the coming time is the voice taking decision as well. Currently, if you see voice systems, they are still into the phase where they have been predefined upon certain templates and what they can talk upon. For example, most innovations have been seen in tourism space. If you want to book a ticket, if you want to reschedule your things, and it is so interactive that you will feel that you're talking to a human only. It's nothing like different like that. Seamlessly, all the journeys, all the different types of questions you can ask to him are pre-trained to him, but he cannot take decision. He'll always tell, let me check back and come to you again on something. But if you see, I've seen one of the biggest acquisition of Amelia by SoundHound. Why do you think it's in this space? So Amelia has been one of the leaders in conversational AI space, offering multiple chatbots to so many companies and so many different use cases. Suddenly, a voice company, SoundHound, comes in and acquires it. That means they have actually seen a future where voice is going to dominate. You know, for example, if you just talk about a decade from now where Gen Z is going to take over multiple technology aspects, we are actually into the voice zone, So that's why you have to develop it from now. And you'll see, instead of text-based LLMs, mostly voice-based driven systems will come into picture. And it's not that it will come; it has already come. You'll see GPT, you'll see Gemini, into the phones. It's already completely voice. That is the impact it's been creating. But if you understand, everything is first converted into the text at the background, analyze it to text analytics and speech analytics, and then the output is generated. But the amazing part is how fast it's done. It's in just milliseconds. That's the computational power it's going to bring about.
I think, one of the things, which really stood out for me, from what you just said was when you mentioned getting the complete voice ecosystem into your systems, where you mentioned about agent and supervisor conversations also.
Yeah.
Okay, which I have not seen a whole lot of that happening today. Where how do you take an agent supervision coaching sessions or their feedback sessions, and put that data? How do you bring that into your knowledge base,
Hmm.
to make systems more intelligent? Which is
Yeah.
great. But now talking about voice, right? So we talked about voice. We have talked about hyper personalization. How does that, combined with the LLM models, change the definition of what is the true omni-channel integration? Does it change it or does it refine it further? How would you define true omni-channel in 2025, versus what companies have achieved in the previous years?
So, omnichannel is a term where, for example, we are talking on this preferred channel of, for example, Teams. We are talking something on a preferred channel as WhatsApp. Suddenly I know that you don't use WhatsApp much, and you're more active on Instagram. I should start texting you on Instagram because I know that you don't use WhatsApp much. My ability of understanding his preference and connecting him in that particular time, in fact, that particular manner, in the way that he likes, is the best way that he could refer or respond to my message. Right? It's only omnichannel. So omnichannel is nothing very big. but the way it is being executed, that's more fascinating, right? So there are multiple, obviously, one of the things that you'll see very common when I talk about omni-channel, if you define this term, it is common in CPaaS, it is common in CCaaS, it is common in CCM, it is common in UCaaS as well. So does it mean everything, everyone is doing omni-channel, right? For every aspect. But the thing is that you want to define one more thing is common. Everyone is telling that we are focusing on CX. UPS is telling that we focus on EX, but by improving EX, they are also focusing on CX. So you CCM is focusing on CX, CCAS is focusing on CX, CPaaS is also focusing on CX. Everyone says that we have omnichannel integrations, the omnichannel consistency. So the thing is that omnichannel has become a basic fundamental law for communication. So let me give you this detailed thing of this every aspect. Okay, so CPaaS is focusing on CX, but how? Through achieving communication excellence. So CPaaS is a platform that actually operationalize CX. I'm again telling it operationalize CX. So whatever CCaaS vendors do to operationalize multiple channels, CPaaS is handles all those channels, right? And CCaaS vendors, they don't. What they do, they use omnichannel consistency to deliver these communication flows to right customer at the right time with the right, predictive analytics and through their AI models analysis with the right sentiment, they deliver this through their channels. And CCM, it's another component in the ecosystem, right? Who also does one-way communication of managing all the communication of customers. They are also focusing on communication excellence. So whenever everyone tells about CX, this is the main portfolio that has been shown to you every time. But behind that, we need to understand as a person or as a company, you cannot go and give CX to a person lively. It is going to be only through communication. So CX will drive through communication excellence. Once you achieve communication excellence, you will be able to drive CX in a better way. That's what every vendors are trying to do. There are different aspects that they play in upon. So omnichannel is the fundamental. If you have omnichannel capabilities, it's better for organizations to handle multiple single customer from a multiple touch points. Now I'll explain you later why this omnichannel is actually the center stage of this. So if I give you this example, for example, you are reaching out to a customer on email, and he doesn't open up an email. Suddenly, you are browsing on Nike something brand. Nike reaches out to your email, and you don't respond to that because you don't check email. It's not your preferred channel. But suddenly, you get a WhatsApp pop up, right? And you see that there is 10% off on something, and you just click it, and you don't just do something, and then you don't reply to that as well. Suddenly, you'll also get a message on your personalized, if you have Nike app or you're using Nike Run app, you get a pop-up notification of there as well. Once you respond to this, you know, once you respond, for example, Telegram, or you respond to WeChat, it will be your most preferred channel. It will automatically update in the database, and now next time the communication is held through that channel because it has been considered. And now suddenly, after you respond to WhatsApp, it will automatically update your preferences in the real time and start communicating through your WhatsApp. And that is true omnichannel. So connecting to your customers on a preferred channel by managing all the touch points. Now that doesn't mean, for example, you're talking at multiple channels, all the context between what information you have been shared on email, what you have been talking about on WeChat, everything will be so personalized that you'll never feel that you have been changing channels. It will be seamless. And that's what omnichannel experiences is. And because of this, I just mentioned in real-time adaptation, how is that happening? Because of AI. A real-time AI customer journey orchestration, real-time management, all the non-linear journeys are being predicted. That is happening through AI. That's AI is enabling omnichannel into the ecosystem.
That is very, very insightful in terms of, especially, for our viewers, on understanding, on how the different components from a CCAS, CPaaS, UCAS perspective, what does omnichannel mean, for each of these individual components for the overall ecosystem. But then, if I take this a bit forward, right, your digital AI leap framework, right, how does that help organizations to a truly integrated communications platform, to what you were just referring, is to how do you take the customer preferences, and then use AI to do real time adaptation to meet them where they want to meet. So how does a digital AI leap framework fits into all of this?
So, the digital AI lead framework, it's more about how AI should flow into the organizations, right? So basically, for what most of the cases, the challenges that we were, users came up to us, they had a AI implementation plan. They were implementing AI, but suddenly they were not getting impactful revenue or something. They were, using huge courses and getting no response, so they shut it down, and they were not ready with what they were doing. So all this because of they were just playing with AI around on a very segregated, or said silos approach, but our digital AI lead framework, what QKS define is that you have to go from a map, mesh, and monetize approach. We call it a map, mesh, and monetize. So what you do that you map multiple use cases that you feel should be automated first, right? Maybe for example, in customer support, you think agent productivity is a use case you're taking upon, that you want to increase agent productivity with AI, right? Firstly, so there are multiple ways to improve agent productivity that can be non-AI as well. So what AI will help you do that? For example, you want agent assist co-pilot. For example, you want some more sentiment analysis code. You need speech analytics. That has been AI driven. Whatever you want. So we map those use cases, and after that, we go in the mesh phase. We try to understand what infrastructure is needed for this type of use cases. Do we have AI capabilities to get this done? What is needed, if is our employees learned enough to use this? So it consists of training, internal capabilities development, all these things. Once it's there, then we go to monetize phase, where we do smart monetizations, in terms of how you actually get this framework into the real one of getting your money, the ROI, right? So once you're getting into this, so it can be into two way. Either it will be direct impacted in your revenue, or your agents will handle more calls in this limited amount of time. For example, earlier it can be handling 10 calls in an hour. It can go up to 15 calls with the so its agent productivity has improved. So it's not only the monetary benefit, but eventually it will affect monetarily. But that's how the digital AI lead framework actually helps organization, and how AI should flow into an organization from mapping to mesh to monetizing it. So people started with directly monetizing AI. Obviously, they used to mesh it, but they used to mesh it top of the product. So I'll give you some more insights later on that. So once you do that on the top of the product, there is integration. It's not that tightly cohesive within your ecosystem to give you all that revenue that is being needed. So that's what most of the organizations face challenges, and they were lacking behind, and that's how QK's digital AI lead framework is actually helping them understand the true potential of AI by mapping the use cases first. And once the use cases are mapped, eventually you can have multiple AI projects within a single ecosystem. It is not just one, right? And
And
that's how
how
you
do you
go
measure
advertise.
how do you measure the ROI on
Uh,
all this?
Again, if you, I think entire things come to this one question, what ROI? So we measure ROI in three different categories. We do is one is revenue impact, obviously that is there. Then there is operational efficiency, second thing, and the third is customer retention or customer churn points, right? So if you talk about revenue, so there is IRPPI, incremental personalization, I think incremental per personalized per interaction system that has been created. So for example, if you have personalized something, how much interaction you have been improved, or how much sentimental score has been there. We have gathered those data, we calculate. So before AI implementation, for example, the sentiment score or element score were less, but with this, so all this that impacting the revenue. How much revenue, incremental revenue you have been done after AI implementation or AI based recommendation. So that is being calculated as well. So there are multiple parameters besides CSAT and NPS score that we do in terms of revenue, and then in operational efficiencies, call handling times, agent productivity. It would be multiple response that has been given through agents, or through customer churn things. That is there into the operational efficiency, and then the ROI comes in. Third part is customer retention. That how the churn rate has been there, how customer satisfaction scores has been improving. With this type of things, how mostly because of AI enabled analytics score, how customers have been customer loyalty has been improving in long term context. Upselling strategies, everything related to customer intelligence is been taking care of that. So once you get more intelligence, you get again go to with more personalizations, more you try to get more hyper personalized. So all these three parameters, of course, except from CSAT and NPS score, we track for ROI, and then the benefits has been actually counted.
Got it. Got it. And so we've talked about hyper personalization, the technology, communication. We touched upon privacy, a bit. But then the overarching question that also emerges is What ethical considerations should organizations prioritize as they implement AI driven customer experience strategy? Because, to me, privacy ethics, are two very different aspects, to for anyone, who's implementing AI to actually look at, from two different lenses.
Uh, so Abhi, thank you for one of my favorite topics when I talk about this is privacy. What about ethical consideration? So you in the start of a session you mentioned about how much personalized we have to be. You know how much what is where is the stop of this? Can my data go leaked out? Can they use my personal data to come and reach out to me? What about that? Everything is about this is about privacy. So whatever training that you're doing, if it's not on ethical basis, it's not if it's not if the AIs are biased, it's all about that. Just taking an example, it's very great example about Amazon. Recent example from Amazon. It did a very big hiring mistake, right? If you remember, a lot of female candidates were moving out, and only the male candidates were chosen into their hiring AI hiring system, right? Why? So is the model bad about it? Is the model bad about choosing women? No, it's all about the data that it was fed upon, right? And it all about the ethical biases that it was not trained upon. It they have to give equal priority not on the base of gender but upon the quality of work or experience that shows. So that's when it comes to ethical consideration. So we have this guard framework where you talk about guardrails of your ethical framework where and it's very important. So if you see customer support, you just mentioned about 71% feel that customer support should be there. But in what industries? Trust me, it's not the same in banking and finance. It's not same in healthcare. It's not same into insurance sector because there are very stringent policies. Because it's not same there in for example, a very small error of mistake even of 0.001% in healthcare or in BFSI can lead to big losses, right? It can be life loss as well in healthcare as well. Then, so they be very sure about all these hallucinations. Do they have very specific models of ethical AI where they cannot get. But in terms of CCM, where internal matters or customer CCAS modules, where for a template that you need to choose, you can have hundreds of templates, hallucinated as well. You need to choose one that is suiting your particular preference. So from choosing from 100, the risk score is less. So again, we also there is a thing that we are working upon AI trust score for different industries we are working upon. That's in the ethical framework, the guard framework that we are working upon. How trustable the model is going to be. So if you see there is a new market emerging for that I wanted to point it out. That is AI governance market. We already had a market of data governance, but the AI governance now this market entirely. If you think there are multiple vendors who are giving you model observability, model governance, model creation, model everything about the models that you're using to pump your personalization of your pump your CX data. So that's the importance of this ethical AI because if it's not there, trust me, people won't trust it. Not only organizations will also refrain it from using it because the ethical AI framework is quite robust. People are trying to get into new heights with the AI. So I think it is going to play the very big role into the coming time that how governed your model is, how governed you are with your AI innovation roadmap.
Thanks, Aman. That is fantastic. I know you and I can go on talking about this for hours and days, but we do have a time limit. So as we
Right.
wrap up,
Yeah.
what advice you want to give to CX leaders who are feeling overwhelmed, with the pace of the technology change, yet at the same time, the pressure to deliver exceptional experience today, remains. What will be your top piece of two or three pieces of advice that you want to give them?
So, Abhi, if I say about, at QKS, if I say about it upon, see, there are three strategic insights that all the vendors should focus upon. One would be AI, the second would be omnichannel, and the third would be automation. Uh, Trust me, these are not the differentiators. These might be the key focus areas currently you'll see, but these are not the differentiators. I think these are the hygiene factors that companies will have. You'll see in every space that they will be focusing on AI, they will be having omnichannel, they will be having automation. Now, let me give you this three detailed insight at QKs that we come out with, which are actually non-obvious. The first thing is that predictive, autonomous, self-evolving CX. So from AI augmentation to AI-led CX. When I talk about this, if I wanted to make this understand to our viewers, if you see vendors using AI on the top of their solutions, it will be silos again. So you'll see AI traveling from that upper layer to a lower layer of the architecture, where in the architecture platform you see data management is there, risk compliance is there, different things. You'll see AI native as there. So all the solutions and models what they're offering will be powered by AI with the right data that has been flowing into inside. So it's not upon this feature has AI capability. The solution will be based upon AI. So that will become the next thing, from AI augmentation to AI led CX, right? That would be the one insight that I wanted. The second insight is more about uh, how actually the CX will shift from sitting with customer service teams to data-driven revenue teams. Now, this is the big insight for you. Abhi, you also. We have been working upon this as well. So we'll see customer CX team will start sitting with the revenue teams, because CX analytics will impact pricing, upsell cross-sell strategies. And not only that, it's not only real-time understanding customer problems, but revenue teams will also identify new revenue streams on the same in the real time. For example, it's not about solving the problem anymore. It's actually about identifying more areas to generate revenue now through better CX. So this is gonna be happen. And the last piece of advice that is there, it's about is there from a complete from a data science approach towards more you know AI driven customer memory system. When I talk about AI driven customer memory system, I'm talking about unified CX intelligence. Gone are those days where you have different types of data coming from different areas, marketing, sales. Now where everything will be at one place, your CX will or AI will orchestrate all this data for better CX, and you will have unified intelligence at one place. I think these are the three strategic things that you will see in the coming time, and I'm betting on this. If you will only see winners chasing this, and people who are actually not working in this direction, only using open AI's APIs to get into the system on the top of their solutions, will actually see a backslash and will close the AI projects. And talking this about experience. I'm not just telling this because it's theory. I've actually seen this happening. That's why I'm just these are my three top three insights that we can take upon.
And that's what I love about you. So everything is always about what you have seen, implemented, and then not just theory. And I always learn so much from you, Aman. And we can go on. But I think that we'll wrap it up right now. Where can our viewers contact you? So I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of different questions. They would want to reach out to you. How can they do that?
So you could reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm always available on LinkedIn. Also, you can reach out me on my mail. I'll mention my email in the description so that you can have it on there. And I'm whether if you just want to talk about CX, just drop me a ping and we can keep talking for that.
Yeah. No, thank you, Aman. Thank you for coming to the show. And then viewers, if you like this, please do like, comment, share, and then do reach out to Aman. He's a treasure hold of knowledge. Thank you.